If there's less Mud Slappers, Drapion is even safer. I'm putting it at the top meta, actually. Welcome into my Great League tier list for the Delightful Days GBL season. I don't know what GBL season this actually is at this point. I think it's like 19 or something if we're counting like actual seasons. And according to Niantic, it's probably somewhere around like 16 because I know they changed the numbers a bit. So this will just be specifically on Great League. Some of it will be related to Go Battle League. Some of it will be related to the Show 6 Championship Series. And obviously some of it is like we always had to keep in consideration of like limited metas in Go Battle League, right? So some of these may have some fringe usage here or there, but maybe not just in open Great League formats. We're going to talk about how the recent changes have impacted the meta, because this is the biggest meta change we've seen in June since, I don't know, probably since 2021, maybe even bigger than that. So let's talk about all the actual changes first, and then I'll talk about all the Pokemon that are, for the most part, impacted by it. Not all of them, because some of them I did leave off, like King GBL said, Shadow Charizard I did leave that off. But speaking of why, well, first off, we have Ember. Energy generation has increased. Oh, also something to note as well too, anything that changes with energy in the Go Battle League post from now Scopely, used to be Niantic, is never set. Like, we never know what the actual energy values are until it drops. I don't know exactly why the reason is, but I'm sure there is some reason behind it. They're just not allowed to disclose that energy reason, or they don't want to. But they will always disclose damage values. So some moves, if it's just damage that changes either down or up, we can always account for that. But when it's energy changes or debuff, buff chances, stuff like that changing, those numbers are never revealed. So there's a chance that this tier list will shift a little bit after the actual season goes live. That always happens to a degree, right? We don't always predict accurately, but that's how PvPoke and people that use PvPoke on the backend access adjust for it. They essentially put in hypothetical values that make sense, right? Because there are no like Ember energy generation. It's not going to go up by like 10 energy per Ember, right? Nothing crazy like that. So they make like a good estimated guess, but sometimes they're a little bit off, and sometimes Niantic / Scopely surprises us and it's actually even more of a buff than we anticipate, or sometimes it's not as much of a buff as we anticipate. So that'll always happen. Bug Bites, that goes up by 1 damage from 3 to 4, so that is set in stone. Obviously Fury Cutter goes up by 1 damage as well. And anything that we know set in stone means that the simulations are much more on point because it has an actual specific value to it. So it's much more easy to predict across the meta. Acid, energy generation increased. Bullet Punch goes up by 2 damage. Metal Sound goes up by 1 damage. Metal Sound goes up by 2 damage, actually. I also didn't realize this, so Metal Sound's a 2-turn move. I thought Metal Sound was a 1-turn move, but you see it so rarely that, like, I just never registered in my head. Double Iron Bash goes up by 5 damage. Doom Desire goes up by 5 damage. Crunch, chance to lower opposing Pokemon's defense is decreased, which is good. Hopefully it's like somewhere around like 12.5, I guess, or even 10% is fine with me, honestly. Wrap, guaranteed chance to decrease opposing Pokemon's defense, likely by 1 stage, but they haven't said exactly. Parabolic Charge, energy cost decrease, which is good because of terrible move, and a guaranteed chance to increase the user's defense. So here's some attack availability updates. These are Pokemon that already exist in the game, but then they've gotten access to new attacks, either fast attacks or charge attacks. So Golden Go gets charge attack Power Gem. Lunala will get fast attack Shadow Claw. Skeldurge will be able to learn fast attack Hex. Beedrill will Beedrill, Arbok, Nidoqueen, Nidoking, Tentacruel, Toxicroak, and Scolipede all get Poison Sting. Raichu, Lone Raichu, and Celio all get Surf. Galarian Meowth, Aeron, Lairon, Aggron, Delmise, Berserker, Varoom, and Revroom all get Metal Sound. I know Aeron sounds like kind of a joke here, but it's actually ranked a lot higher than I would have anticipated it. Palmy, Palmo, Palmont all get Thunder Shock. Lickitung, Melodic, Delmise all get Wrap. All 3 Galarian birds, Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres all get Fly. Oh, and then one of my favorite Pokemon of all time, Lugia, gets Fly. Hopefully it'll take it out of the depths of the lower rankings of Master League, because yeah, it's been pretty irrelevant ever since they nerfed Sky Attack. And then Meltang, Metagross, and Cleavor all get Fury Cutter, which was recently buffed. Let's take a look at the Pokemon that did get buffs here or there. Well, those would be these things. Golden Go, what did it get? It got Power Gem or Rock Slide? I forgot. Yeah, I got Power Gem. I mean, Golden Go's pretty bad in Great League. Like I said, I'll make a tier list on actual like Master League, Ultra League, and stuff like that. But Golden Go is, especially in a bug meta, it's pretty bad. Honestly, I consider hot garbage, but let's reserve that for now. Scolipede also isn't the best. Honestly, in this meta, there's just way too many other bug types that are solid. It might be like good in like a fringe meta and stuff, but I don't think it's actually particularly good. Let me actually simulate. Yeah, 472. So that's not really doing many favors. And we already have the damage values of all the moves it learned, so it's not like we're waiting for like the update to actually change things a bit, right? Alolan Raichu, also not that great. I mean, this is not even... Water's not even the coverage it really wants. I mean, grass is much better into ground, but obviously water's, like, okay into... well, grounds too, but, like, you know, mud boys. Just don't really worry about that, too. So that's pretty bad, too. Alolan Raichu as well. Alolan Raichu is probably even worse because of all the bug users. I mean, that just, like, makes things even harder. I'll just sim both Raichu just for reference. Yeah, Alolan Raichu is at 197, Cancer Raichu is at 300. Honestly, I think Cancer Raichu is even better than Alolan Raichu because of the bug users, but they're both pretty bad in this current iteration of things. Celio is okay-ish. It's like not as good as, like, you might as well just use Lapras at this point, but you know, I mean, I can see how some people might make it work at times if you really want to. All right, so I'm not even gonna put Palmy on here because that's kind of like not that great. Paul Mont is at 340. Paul Mose at 389. Both are pretty bad. It's better than Scolipede, I guess, but I mean, these are so bad that it's like kind of interchangeable to a degree. Tentacruel at 116. I mean, it's running acid in the simulations here, so it's a possibility that it will be running Poison Sting. I think it's okay. I just think that, like, I don't know. We'll take a look at it for later. I think it's okay. But it's not nearly as bulky as it is in Ultra League. And, you know, there's a decent amount of steel types and ground types that are ranked pretty high in this meta. So, is it actually usable? It's a tough question. Drapion's actually ranked lower, but that's non-shadow, not shadow. So, but that's one interesting point to note. Nidoqueen is all the way at 137, and the shadow's ranked even lower. Yeah, I don't think Nidoqueen's particularly back because Poison Sting plus Poison Fang is not a lot of damage, right? Poison Sting is just mostly for energy generation, not for damage purposes. So it's I put it below the Tentacruel for now. Nidoking is even worse. Nidoking's always been pretty bad. It has interesting movesets, but it just doesn't really do too much. Here, let me see what they recommend running. Nidoking's all the way at 727 for Shadow. What the heck? Oh, that's Double Kick, actually, as a recommended move. I don't know. I don't think Nidoking's worth much, but you could tell me. You could correct me if someone actually does well with it. I'm sure, like, you could win some GBL battles with it once in a while, but I don't actually think you could really do too much else with it. I don't even know if it's better than Golden Go or not. But, okay. Well, we have Arbok, which is also not the greatest. It is running Acid on these sims instead, but this is also quite bad. It has Dark Pulse and Sludge Wave, though, so that's something. But, yeah, it just doesn't have the stats to really hang in against a lot of things. Toxicroak, Poison Sting, Dynamic Punch, Shadow Ball, like, it's okay, but if you're really running a fighter, like, you're probably better off with something else. I mean, you have Shadow Ball, at least for Annihilate and stuff, but its stat product's kind of frail, to be honest, and it's a Shadow that's 110. I'll put it at Fringe meta, actually. So here's the thing. Toxicroak has more utility, I feel like, than a Celio. Celio, you just run Lapras, right? Or Dugong. You just run another Ice Water type. But there's not a lot of fighting poison types available. In fact, this might be one of the few, if not the only one, that's even relevant. So it has a more niche spot, I guess, in the meta. Reverum is all the way at 797. That's just absolutely awful. Its moveset is also pretty bad. Metal Sound, Overheat, Gyro Ball. Like, what would you do with that? And then Varoom is ranked even lower. Metal Sound, got Gyro Ball, and Conk Shots. Yeah, this one's just... Varoom is just actually awful. It doesn't even crack 1500. Like, it's actually one of those... They hit the best buddy hundo. It's just not good. But... yeah, I don't think... Oh, yeah, we have one more poison type that we missed. A recent buff one. Beedrill. I had higher hopes for this one. Poison Sting, Exorcer, Drill Run. I think it could definitely pressure with some, like, get some shields and stuff. But, like, I don't think this is even that great into Azumarill. Especially when you drop the poison charge attack. So, let's take a look at Azumarill versus Beedrill. I'll do Shadow Beedrill for the time being. I'll probably put a rank 1 Azumarill because most of you have, like, high rank ones. And let's just sim this real quick. Yeah, Azumarill wins in the ones. Like, the fact that a fairy is able to beat you. And let's see the non-shadow just as a comparison. Yeah, and then Azumarill wins the zeros and ones against non-shadow. Extra rework screwed Beedrill. Oh, yeah, it did. It did to a degree. But you would probably be throwing Drill Run anyway into Azumarill. Beedrill, I thought was going to be much better, but it's actually not the best. This is definitely on the bad side of things, too. Put it right here. Aeron, which... okay, this is the crazy part. Aeron's ranked 153. The fact that Aeron's ranked higher than Shadow Queen is kind of crazy. It does have Rock Tomb and Body Slam, so its coverage is not bad. It's really not that bad. But it is ranked higher than Aggron, even. This is just like a weird pick, but I can see how it might have, like... I don't know, a little spice potential. Lairon's ranked higher, Metal Sound, Rock Tomb, Body Slam. I think it's just like slightly bulkier, so we'll put that there. And then Aggron's just pretty bad in this meta. Metal Sound, Rock Tomb, Thunder, like it's just way too slow. You could go for some like Smackdown pressure, but like at that point, like you might as well just run a Bastion. Like it's the same type, right? But way less bulky. But Berserker's still simming Shadow Claw at the moment with Close Combat Trailblaze. The fact that Berserker's ranked lower than Aggron's kind of crazy. Oh, Meowth, this one is... yeah, I didn't mean to put this. This is actually just trash. It should not be there. I just accidentally had it because yeah, I took out some of the pre-evolution stuff, but I just forgot Meowth. Sorry, cats. Not that useful. Berserker's pretty fringe, I feel like. I mean, yeah, I'll put it here. I mean, it has some play, but like it's just too hard to use with Trailblaze, Close Combat and stuff. Honestly, I put it at bad. Let's put it at top of bad. It just doesn't beat a lot of things. Oh yeah, Delmice, 438. It has Shadow Claw already, so it probably wouldn't even run Metal Sound, Power Whip, and Wrap. That's a pretty bad Pokemon. I've never tried using it, but I don't think it's worth trying. We'll put it here. I think it has slightly better coverage than Reverum, but Reverum is also hard to acquire too because you can't really get it from hatched IVs, I think. Or I think you have to like re-roll under, but not the best there. Okay, let's take a look at Lickitung. Lickitung with it's still recommending Body Slam because it's just Wrap is just not that great in a lot of instances. So I will actually... I think the problem with Lickitung is you just run a different normal type. This Skeletor's also got Hex. So I can't remember if I mentioned that earlier or not. I might have forgotten it. But yeah, so it's still like probably gonna run Incinerate in most instances, but Hex is another alternative. I don't think it's good anyway, but I don't think it's bad. Okay, so being a ghost type as well too, it's going to double resist bug damage, which is kind of nice. I just don't think it has as much pressure as the other fire types, but it might be okay. It might still be okay at times. I think it's just kind of hard to use. Again, I'll put this below Toxicroak mainly because there's other fire types, especially Incinerate users, that are pretty solid, whereas there's not a lot of unique coverage like the Toxicroak. So that's the main reason why. Alright, Melodic, another Wrap user. This one's ranked in the 500s. Yeah, it's not great. It does have Wrap now, which is slightly better coverage, but then like throwing like a Hybrid Beam, but it is not good. I feel like I'm doing Berserker a little bad here. Oh, I'll move it up there for now. It's gotta be... yeah, let's put it here. Scolipede at least has some decent coverage into the meta, but... Metang. So this one is ranked really high. I know Dracovish streamed yesterday, or day before yesterday, I think. Yeah, day before yesterday on the moveset, and they entered their own numbers because they use a backhand X as a PvPoke, so they changed some stuff around. So it was ranked like Shadow METANG was ranked like number 4 or 5 on their list in Great League, but PvPoke had like a slightly different take on it. So it might be somewhere in between 16 to 4, or it might just be one over the other. But it's still ranked 16 overall. Fury Cutter, Psyshock, and Gyro Ball. And Psychic Steel type. It's ranked really high. I don't know if it'll perform that high, but I think it'll be solid. I mean, it'll definitely be better than it's ever been. My guess is that this will probably be something similar to how Grumpig performed. Simmed really high, has some GBL value for sure, but at the end of the day, especially in like competitive tournaments, you don't end up running Grumpig because there's just too many like dark types and ghost coverage. But similar to METANG, right? Still going to be some darks around. Going to be a lot of ghosts, in my opinion. Going to be some ground types. Now, the Fury Cutter Psyshock will give you decent coverage into like Clodsire, I guess. But for the other ground types like Mud Slappers, it's not great. But I think it's going to be solid. I think it'll definitely be solid in Go Battle League. I don't know if it'll be solid in Show 6. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's not. Alright, Metagross. It's recommending still Bullet Punch stuff. I mean, in Great League, this is like absolutely awful, right? It's pretty bad. Cleavor, Fury Cutter, X-Scissor, Stone Edge. It's not good. You might as well run like Scissor or something like that. It's just pretty bad. A lot of these bad picks honestly could be like, put it here, I guess. I don't know, it's just not good. All right, and then to cover our last few things. Oh, Lunala. I don't even know if it's possible to get this under Great League. I don't think it's possible, actually. This is just like, it's actually impossible to get. Let's say if it is possible, it's just impossible to get, I think. So, anyway, probably just leave it here for now. I don't think it's possible to get it, so I'm not even gonna put it in my rankings here. Actually, I'm gonna take the Meowth off too because this shouldn't even be here. Actually, it's just so irrelevant at this point. Okay, Articuno, Galarian Articuno. We'll start with that one. Cyber Cut, Fly, Brave Bird. A lot of double fly coverage, but it's not great. I mean, I've definitely lost to these before, but it's not good. Let me put it here. Moltres is definitely going to be the best of the birds. Ranked 65 overall. Sucker Punch, Fly, Brave Bird. You can honestly run it with Ancient Power too if you really want to. Oh, wait, no. I remember this. Fly and Ancient Power. Okay, so if Ancient Power is super effective and Fly is neutral, Fly is still... I think it's still the more efficient move to throw. All right, so let's take a look here. We'll use a Zoomer as an example because both are neutral, right? So Ancient Power. All right, so Ancient Power will do 45 energy, 0.73 DPE. 45 energy, 1 point... Oh, no, this is not a good example. So obviously, Fly is a more energy efficient move, right? They're same energy. But let's look at something that... What takes super effective? Okay, what do you call it? Typhlosion. Example, right? So it's super effective with Ancient Power, neutral with Fly. Fly is 1.77, Ancient Power is 1.77. So what that means is that even if Ancient Power is super effective against the Pokemon and Fly is neutral, or let's say if Ancient Power is neutral and Fly is resistant, so it's like a one-stage difference in effectiveness, Fly is still just as good as Ancient Power. So there's really no reason to run Ancient Power unless you have a situation where you're throwing Ancient Power in super effective and Fly is resisted. And I honestly can't even think of any examples there. What's double weak to rock but is resisting flying? I don't even know. So yeah. So anyway, Zapdos? No, Zapdos is only single weak to Ancient Power, but it resists flying, which means that... Oh, yeah, you're right, yeah. It takes super effective, and then flying is resisted. Yes, that's the one. Okay, so if you face Zapdos or Molga with Moltres, yeah, you'll probably wish you had Ancient Power. But for the most parts, you pretty much just want double flying, because Fly is just a better move than Ancient Power in all neutral situations, and it's just as good if it's a one-stage difference. Yeah, so Zapdos and Molga, that's pretty much the main thing. Articuno... Yes, Articuno is another example because it's double super effective and then it's just neutral with Fly, right? So it's two-stage right there. How many Articuno are you really seeing? probably not a lot. But anyway, so Galarian Moltres is definitely quite stellar, and I probably put it back in the meta category. I think it's very unique, and honestly, I might even put it ahead of METANG. I really need to see how METANG performs. I know METANG's ranked higher, but Moltres is nice. It's solid bulk. It's a reliable counter to stuff like for Alligator, right? As long as you shield the Ice Beam. The Sucker Punch damage adds up quite a bit, right? You have to watch out for fairies, but you have Brave Bird now, you know? So unless you're facing a card bank, you're kind of chilling. Yeah. How good would Scizor be? I love Scizor and have a rank 64 shout. Yeah, I have some good Scizor too. We'll take a look at it for sure. Moltres and METANG looking like a nice core. Yeah. Actually, you're not wrong there. They cover each other quite well. Fire is like kind of neutral to the Moltres, but it's not terrible of a matchup if you run into Fires, right? Now, if you run to like a Molga or Zapdos, it could be kind of annoying for those two, but are you really running into those often? I don't think so. Okay. And the last bird, we have Zapdos, Galarian Zapdos. So it's ranked like 633. Like the counter nerf really hurt it, but it wasn't really that great in general. Yeah, this one's just not good either. I mean, counter's still counter, but I think Articuno might be even better. I don't know. These are all like super interchangeable in a way. Let's talk about Lugia, because Lugia will not really have much play in Great League, but I think it definitely has plenty of play in Master League and maybe some in Ultra League. It's definitely not great in this meta. I'll put it, I don't know, here? I don't even know. I mean, counter's probably a little bit better. Maybe put it here. Lugia's really hard to play. Starting with Jirachi, Doom Desire did get buffed, but I think this is honestly still pretty bad. Confusion, Doom Desire, Dash Gleam, it's just not great. Confusion, it may need some better fast attack, and its typing's not really helping it either. It has pretty much no coverage. So yeah, I mean, I don't think it's particularly good for much. We'll put it here for now. I mean, Doom Desire does hit kind of hard, but Bronzong is pretty much the better version of Jirachi. So if you really want to run like a Steel Psychic type, Bronzong's probably the better way to go. You got Payback, you got Side Shock, you got Metal Sound, some decent coverage for it. And yeah, I don't think it's good, but I'll put it in some fringe meta. Metal Sound is slightly better now. It's more unique than Celio at least, so I will give it that. And probably better than this Aeron stuff. I don't know. I think the Rock Gym's nice though. We'll put it here. Give it a little space between Aeron and stuff. I mean, these are probably like interchangeable to a degree. Honestly, is Lairon better than Lickitung? No, let's just put that for now. Arachnid, number 22 on the rankings. Bubble Beam, Water Pulse, Bug Bite. The Bug Bite damage is nice. Makes it more reliable with a grass counter without needing the actual Bug Buzz move. But you probably could still run Bug Buzz with Bubble Beam and Bug Bite. Yeah, ranked number 22 overall. That's kind of nasty. I think the top part is how often are you going to run into the uses over like a Fortress, right? Because Fortress is going to resist the bug damage, but the downside of Fortress is super weak to fire, whereas obviously Arachnid isn't. It's only taking neutral there. I think it's a little bit worse than Golisopod. So that'll be like the big factor there, because Golisopod's number 6. Its pacing just so much faster. I think Golisopod's just a lot better. I think, how do I put this? I think it could be meta. It's much bulkier, and it has a way more reliable matchup versus like a Lapras, right? Whereas Golisopod's kind of on the weaker end. I'll put Golisopod higher up though. I don't know if it's like super meta. It's ranked 6 overall, but it's easier to deal with. Scizor though, has Bullet Punch as well, and Bullet Punch got buff as well, but it has Fury Cutter too, so there's a lot of options. I think it's definitely on the more spicier end of potential options, but I can see this thing kind of being super annoying to deal with, especially in Go Battle League. Ariados actually got the Poison Sting buff, but Ariados is kind of like 2 seasons ago at this point. It's not as good as it used to be for sure, but there's just better bugs in my opinion. I'll put it here. Honestly, maybe I'm giving Toxtricity too much credit. I should probably put Toxtricity a little further back, like here, maybe. I honestly could probably create a tier for these that are separate from these, because these are like way less usable. Ember looks interesting for Ninetales. Yeah, I mean, if you're curious, Ninetales is... Oh, wait. It's ranked 83. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, it's got kind of mono coverage unless you're on Scorching Sand with it. But I don't really have it on my list for the time being, but it's possible. I just think, like, it's just tough, right? When you have Typhlosion, which is such a heavy hitter compared to Ninetales. But, I mean, there could be some arguments for it. Charge Bug, another bug type. Volt Switch, Exit or Discharge. No changes, but it's been meta right now, and I don't think it's going to be particularly good in this current iteration of things. We'll put it, like, here. Yeah. Ember numbers not being finalized leaves it up in there, so yes, for sure. Definitely. It's just Shadow Typhlosion hits so hard, right? It just hits so freaking hard. That's the tough part. And so here's the thing with Ember, right? Its energy generation is increased, so unless it goes like super quick with it, I think also like if Ninetales ends up being good because Ember's really good, then Charizard will probably be the better Ember user. That's my guess. Because Charizard just has like, I mean, you're only taking neutral from Scorching Sand, right? And Charizard just hits super hard and wins priority and gets like most things. So yeah, Charizard at the moment is ranked 207 on the Shadow. But if Ember's much better than we anticipate, that could definitely bump up into the hundreds, maybe even better than that. Drapion did get the Crunch hurt, but I think Drapion is still actually really, really solid. Yeah, this pacing's still disgustingly fast. And here's the thing, if ghost types are relevant, this is going to be relevant. And here's another thing, Mud Slappers may not be as good as they are with all these bug types around. And because of that, and especially Credilli, right, because it's taking super effective from bug damage as well. And not only that, but they're also resisting the ground damage. If there's less Mud Slappers, Drapion is even safer. I'm putting it at the top meta, actually. Because here's the thing, what's the most reliable answer to Drapion at this point? Corviknights, like, it wins the zero shields, but like it's uncomfortable because the pace is so fast. Diggersby, you have to land a Scorching Sand, so you're going to chunk away one of its most reliable counters with Aqua Tails, which is kind of nuts. Drapion is going to be free to roam. It's ranked 87 Shadow, but I'm telling you right now, Drapion is going to be top meta. I guarantee it. Yeah, Shadow KY for sure, but all these extra bug types resisting it is not going to make it great. And also, even when Shadow Drapion was meta, so was even when Shadow Marowak was meta, Shadow Drapion was still super meta because you just have to dodge the Marowak and then you're good, right? So I don't think that will even change. And if there's less Marowak usage than before, then it's even better than it was from that September to December meta, in my opinion, where Shadow Marowak was really prominent. So yeah, I think Drapion is actually gonna be kind of nutty, That being said, let's take a look at some of the maybe other dark types. We got Umbreon, which has just been free falling a bit. Yeah, it's just, I feel bad putting it in a bad category. Like, we'll put it here. Like, it's super fringe. It's so hard to run Umbreon. There's so many things that resist dark or fairies or bugs at this point that it's just like not going to be a good time for it. Obviously in GBL, I think you can make it work once in a while, but Fortress, like, you lose too much, I think, if you drop Earthquake, and you kind of need Rock Tomb. So yeah, you do beat Drapion, but all right, so let's look at it with Earthquake, right? Obviously with Sand Tomb, it's a different story, but let's say with Earthquake, you win all even shields. I guess you could probably go straight Rock Tomb now that I think about it, right? Let's see. If it's good enough to go straight Rock Tomb, I mean, that's a really good reason to run Fortress. But guess what? If you're running Fortress, you need some answer to fires. And outside of waters, your best answer to fires is probably Drapion. Spam away at the type, Talonflame. Yeah, okay. So Fortress is probably the new most reliable answer to this. And it's Bug Bite Rock Tomb. Fortress also gets hard to run, though, if Diggersby picks up in usage. And if Diggersby picks up in usage, then Drapion's much safer, right? Because you probably run Drapion Diggersby core now. Claydol now is only in the 60 ranked. I think it's still solid, but I don't think it's as good as it was before. With all these, I say with all these bug types, but again, most teams will have like one bug on it, maybe zero. So it's still, I guess, decently safe. It's just not as safe as it used to be. I think it'll still be meta, just not as meta. I'll put it here for now. I think it's still like okay. Credilli, though, I do think it's going to drop in usage. Credilli's actually ranked higher than... Oh wait, Credilli's running Acid in this iteration. Well, whatever PvPoke has simmed on for Acid, it might be pretty high up. But Credilli, I think, is a little bit harder to run. Again, I don't think Credilli would be bad. You just have to watch out for the bug type, and you have Rock Tomb for the bugs too. So like again, it's just like, yeah, you're gonna struggle into it. But here's the thing. What's going to be dropping in usage? Malamar with all the bug types. So then all the Malamar are going to be replaced by bug, which means that on most teams, you're not double weak. You're not weak to Malamar and the bug, right? Malamar's gone. You're just weak to the bug now. So I think Credillia is actually also still pretty decent in this meta. Superior definitely will be dropping in usage a bit because Superior is like was winning against Malamar, but if they replace, let's say, Malamar as like the psychic counter with bugs, then Superior will drop a bit in usage. I think it's still good, but I don't think it will be as good. Superior just does what Grass should do, right? It should just hard win a lot of these matchups. So, but I do think Superior will probably be a little bit harder to run, all things considered. Lapras, though, I think will be quite good still. So yeah, it's ranked 15 overall. This thing's kind of nuts. And if throw on Skull Bash and you have plenty of coverage into the water bug types. I think Lapras is still going to be top meta. Azumarill as well, too. I mean, let's talk about the waters, too. Azumarill's ranked 36. I think Azumarill's still going to be top meta as well. I mean, you resist everything Goliathspot throws at you now. You're good into this, right? You're not... Like, you're good into this. It's... And you... I think Azumarill and Drapion core is still going to be pretty king. Which is kind of crazy. Ground bug ever, for sure, yeah. Skull Bash over Ice Beam on Lapras? I think so. I mean, it depends on what you're running, right? Like, I always recommend, like, if you run, like, Blastoise, I think it might be solid because there's a lot of bug types now. I mean, it's simming kind of lower, on the lower end, but I actually think Blastoise might be pretty decent. And because of that, Blastoise, like, has better coverage than this, right? All these things. I think Blastoise is kind of nice here. I actually think Blastoise is kind of nice. I don't know about this Claydol. I think it's... Okay, I think Claydol is going to drop a bit in usage because of Moltres, but I think it's still... decent. Let's put Claydol here for now. This has much more play into Moltres, right? But Blastoise actually might be kind of solid. Jellicent might go crazy. Yeah, the thing I don't like about Jellicent is how bad, like, it's not even that good of a matchup into Azumarill. It is simmed really high, though. It's at number 10. But I think Jellicent's a little bit harder to play. You know why I think Jellicent's going to be hard to play? Moltres and this guy. These two are still going to be all over the meta. So... I don't know. I think Jellicent is not as easy as play. I think in GBL will be solid. I don't know about for Show 6 though. Wigglytuff, it's just like, it's definitely like more easier to run in GBL. It's ranked 92 overall. There's a lot of still poison types. The Metal Sound buff probably hurts it a bit, but realistically, how many Metal Sound users are you really running into, right? I'll put it here. I'll put it here. I think it's solid. But it's just like one of those Pokemon that you have to kind of like muscle through a lot on. Fortress, let's take a look at that one. Number 2 overall. Bug Bite, Rock Tomb, Earthquake. Being the most reliable answer to Drapion right now makes it really, really solid. So I'll put it here. I think it's really, really solid. Diggersby as well, right? Another answer to Drapion. I think Diggersby is going to be super strong right now in this meta. I think it's going to be super, super strong. Because it's going to beat this. It's a hard answer to this. And Corsola, which I think is also going to be really strong. It's a hard answer to Galarian Corsola. Galarian Corsola is ranked number 5 overall. And I think that's for good reason. It just wins too many neutral matchups. Galarian Corsola is going to be kind of disgusting. I need to go back to trading them. Yeah. What was the reason why Galarian Corsola wasn't as relevant this season? Is a real question. I think Credillia being able to beat it is part of it. Drapion was pretty popular. I don't know. Galarian Corsola, I think, was still good this season, too. Just not enough people used it. I think it was particularly good. I think people just caught onto it too late, but it was really good. It's really good into Claydol. It's one of the best Claydol answers. Malamar. Malamar being super prominent made it a little bit hard to run, for sure. But Malamar is going to be dropping usage a lot, which frees up Galarian Corsola quite a bit. Malamar is dropping a ton in usage. I think it'd still be okay. Here's the thing. Yes, the bugs kind of suck, but if Corsola is here, if Diggersby's here, if Lapras is here, and, you know, the occasional, like, Credillia, you're going to need something that answers those things. So I could see a world where the Malamar is still okay, but Galarian Moltres picking back up in usage is not going to be a good time for it. So that is something to watch out for on top of the bugs. I think, honestly, the thing that hurts the most is the Moltres buff, because you are going to have to worry about a bug no matter what, but it's the Moltres buff that adds another factor into it that makes it a little bit harder. But realistically, are you going to run Drapion and Moltres? It's possible. So again, it makes it tougher. Hey, what's up, Neon? Welcome in. Aster's Gouge is something I'm interested in seeing. Yeah. Can we check Tinkaton hard bug counter? Yes, we will. Let me check Dusclops real quick. Dusclops, Hex, Ice Punch, Shadow Punch. It is ranked number 4. It didn't get any buffs or anything, but with the bugs making its way here, I think it's quite solid. In fact, I think it's going to be fairly meta. So let's put it here for now. I don't know about this METANG, actually, the more I think about it. Let's keep it here for now, but this is a big question mark for me. Let's put METANG here. I think the Raccoon is more tested, but METANG is... it's something. It does snore. I just threw this on there because it was from last season. Rank 17 Shadow. This thing's just not that good. I know it sims well, but it's just not as good as you would hope it to be. I'll put it here. I think that's a little bit. I think you're just better off running a different ghost type, but Skeletor's a little bit different. Shrift Blim, 76 overall. It's just not as good. I mean, it's okay. I think it's better than some of these things though. I'd probably put Charge Bug here. Actually, Charge Bug probably a little bit better than some of these. Move some of these things around. Do we have any other ghost types? Sableye. Sableye is dropped all the way to 38 overall Shadow, 69 for the non-Shadow. Nice. Okay, I mean, this is the unfortunate part with Sableye is this is not resisting the bug types. It's just neutral, right? Because it's the dark type is hurting it a bit. I think it's okay. I'll put it here. I mean, I think it could be good in some situations, 100%, but I think it's just it's not as good. I think it could be. I wouldn't be surprised if it becomes meta, but for now I'll put it in fringe meta. Gligar. Let's take a look at this one because Fury Cutter has made it back in the meta. Dude, how do we go from a year ago where it was all over the place and it's extinct for like 9 months and then you bring it back for another 3 months and it's like top of the meta again? Yeah, Legend with Umbria. That's wild. Yeah, I mean, that's possible still these days. But Gligar is running Fury Cutter with Aerial Ace and Dig. And they did nerf Aerial Ace. Did they nerf Dig as well? I can't even remember. Maybe. But they definitely nerfed Aerial Ace. And they nerfed, what do you call it? Wing Attack. But with Fury Cutter, it's a lot better now. It's ranked number 8. It's a more reliable answer to Drapion being one of the more solid answers, which is nice. I don't know if I'm super convinced by this thing, though. But... one Aqua Tail will do 52% health. That's a lot. You can't really safely come into this, right? So it beats Clodsire, obviously, Credilli, Jumpluff, but like these are things that like you might not see as much. It loses Diggersby. That's not ideal. I mean, you can only run so many ground types. Most people won't have one ground type. If you're losing the Diggersby, that's just not as ideal. I don't know. The Sims make it look good, but I actually am not super convinced on the Gligar. So where did I put the Gligar? Oh, right here. I put it fringe meta. It's simming really high, 100%. But I actually... it's safe. It might end up being one of those safe swaps again. Alright, let's give it a little bit more respect to it. Let's put it here. But... this could turn into the Grumpig of the season, where like it's good in GBL, but even then in GBL it's not the best at times, and also like you're worse into Zero now, right? With Fury Cutter, Cresselia, so many bug types and stuff, so many things that just beat it these days. I'll put it here. I mean, it's still going to beat what it's supposed to beat, but there's just not enough targets for it, so I think that's unfortunate. But Corviknight is ranked really high at 3. I do think Corviknight is going to be super solid. So it loses this, it has okay place into these two, but I think it does it lose to the Fortress. I think it might lose to Fortress here, which is not ideal for it, but it's better than Fortress running Volt Switch. Yeah, Fortress beats in all evens. I think Corviknight is solid, but it might be kind of hard to run. Yeah, I think it'll be a little bit on the hard to run side. Actually, I wonder if this thing even beats Moltres, because Moltres is going to be able to only throw resist attacks. Dude, Galarian Moltres with straight flying attacks, all resisted, beats it in the 1s and 2s. That is not a good sign for Corviknight. That's really not a good sign. So Talonflame is ranked 99. Still not amazing, but it's got a lot of good coverage though, especially into the bug types. And the thing is, it's solid into Diggersby. Obviously, it beats the Fortress too, but it's solid into Diggersby, which I think is going to be really solid in this meta. So I do want to give Talonflame some credit there. So I'll put Talonflame here. Typhlosion is going to be kind of nuts, actually. With all the Mudslappers kind of gone, Typhlosion is ranked 174, but that, trust me, the rankings are not accurate. Because if you 2-shield it, it beats so many things. It beats like this, beats this, beats this, beats this. You need to land a Blast Burn, but beats this, it beats this, it beats this, and 2 shields. I think it probably beats this because you're resisting that Fury card now, so it's actually even better. Beats this. Its Typhlosion is kind of crazy. Yeah, Typhlosion is something you need to 100% watch out for. So that is something that I highly recommend you have some answer to, but it's just not easy to play because there are ways to play around it. But I'm telling you, that Typhlosion has like a lot of utility into this stuff. You know what? I'll put it here. The reason I'll put it here is because a lot of people don't know how to utilize Typhlosion properly. But really good players that do know how to utilize it properly can really take advantage of it. But I'll put it right here for now, because I think it is one of the harder Pokemon to use if you don't know how to use it. Tinkaton's ranked 28 overall. I mean, the fact that it beats Corso is kind of nice, right? I think Tinkaton is definitely really solid. And the fact that it resists bug types is quite nice for it. I'll put it here. Tinkaton also is one of the more reliable answers to Drapion. That's really good too. Grumpig is probably going to drop a bit. I mean, here's the thing. If Malmar's here, Grumpig's lower for sure, right? Grumpig is definitely like the lesser of the 2 Psywave users. So I would probably put Grumpig at like here. Probably here. Scizor is kind of a Scizor could be a really weird pick that might actually surprise a lot of people. So that actually might be better than we expect. Let's put some of these random stuff on here. Bastion's ranked 23. All these bug types. I mean, Bastion definitely in GBL is still like a disgusting fiend. So it is what it is, but I don't think it's particularly. I mean, I don't know. It's Bastion, right? Like it's always going to have some type of utility, especially in Go Battle League. I just think the bugs will skew it a bit, but it is still Bastion. I personally wouldn't use it much, but Carbink I think is actually decent. Has a lot of play into here. Has play into this. Beats Corsola head to head, which is nice, which not a lot of things do. Beats Lapras, has play into this, loses here. I mean, has play into this. I mean, I think Carbink is. I'll put it in top of Fringe. It's hard to run it because it's so slow pacing. It is so slow to its moves. But in the right matchups, I think it's not too bad. Let's take a look at some of these flying electric types. Zapdos at 104. Zapdos is kind of frail. It's really hard to use, I think. It is really, really hard to use. I wish it was better, but it's just like, it's not easy to pilot at all. I'll put it here, I guess. Yeah, it has some interesting matchups, but like, I feel like you're better off. Honestly, I'd probably put it even here. I don't know. Yeah. You could move around there a bit. Emolga, though, I think is much better. 42 overall. Thundershock, Acrobatics, Discharge. Didn't get any updates, but it's really solid into some of these picks, especially with resisting bug damage, right? I don't think it's like going to be really meta relevant, but it has some potential for sure. But let's take a look at Jump Off. Ranked 7 overall, Shadow variant with double flying moves. This thing's pretty strong. It's got really good coverage still, and it's just kind of a neutral beast. I think this thing will still be really meta relevant. Yeah, there's not a lot of ground types, but a lot of the rock doors are kind of gone too. I think Jump Love is going to be kind of disgusting still. And I think it's still going to be your best grass type. And it beats bugs, right? Unova Stunfisk, I don't know. Also, this with Earthquake, the Fortress with Earthquake makes it a little bit harder to run. But I think Unova Stunfisk has some utility. The Gligar is going to make it harder, actually, to run. I'll put it here for now. There's a chance that you could bump it up to a meta, but I'll put it there for now. Let's take a look at the other Ice Water type. Dewgong's just like the worst version of Lapras, I feel like. It's just like, why not just run Lapras at that point? You know? So I think it's okay. It's safe. It beats Diggersby, but I think I'll put it here. Probably right here, yeah. The Dene so really depends on how much they buff Parabolic Charge. If they buff it a lot, it could be pretty disgusting. If they don't buff it a lot, maybe a different story. The problem is, it's still gonna lose like to Diggersby, but it beats Shadow Jump Bluff, which is kind of nice. I think with Shield Advantage, it kind of could be solid. Gliscod, Lapras, Talonflame, like the Dene could be okay. It just doesn't really have great coverage. I think it really depends on how good Parabolic Charge is. So if the Parabolic Charge is solid, I think it has a place for sure. Let's put it. I'll put it here. The reason I put it here is because I just don't know. I just don't know if it's going to be good or not. Also, as a fairy type too, right? So if it doesn't beat Tinkaton, then what's the point, right? Because you're probably going to run Tinkaton over it, right? If you want something that beats Azumarill. It wins the 1s and 2s. Then it could be okay. I'm really just waiting to see how good Parabolic Charge is. How's Cantonian Charizard look? So it's ranked like over 100 something. I don't actually have my list. I think it really depends on how good Ember is. Because if you think about it, Charizard, like it's too slow, right? It just depends on how fast it gets the moves. But like you can't really tank a Aqua Tail from Drapion. Diggersby is like pretty, like with the quick attack, that damage actually adds up. Corsair probably beats it in the neutrals. You know, and then you have a bunch of water types that like aren't too bad into it. Typhlosion has Thunder Punch. Like the Typhlosion and Thunder Punch is pretty much going to one-shot you, right? Especially with Shadow. Whereas Dragon Claw is not going to be enough. So, I think it really just going to depend. I'm not super hopeful for Charizard, but I'd be happy to be pleasantly surprised and proven wrong. For Alligator, I think is still going to have some utility for sure. Especially if Corsa picks up in usage, right? That Shadow Claw damage is always something. I'll put it here, I guess. I'll put it here. Blastoise kind of like is a little bit more solid into it, but I do think it still has some place. Swampert I was not really a big fan of even in this season, but it has been on here from before, and yeah, I don't know. I just like Claydol beats Swampert in when shields are up. That was my Swampert answer, is Claydol. Like they let a Swampert in my Claydol and they had to swap out, right, in one of my matches on stream, because it just like it's really disgustingly fast though, especially in the Corviknight. It just destroys, but it just doesn't have the bulk as some of these other things. Put it here. I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of Swampert at this moment in time. We take a look at Quagsire though. I think Quagsire is much better. It has Stone Edge coverage, and it's pretty fast. It's going to be good into like fire types. It's one of the more reliable, like kind of reliable instances of Drapion, but not even, right? Put it here. I think it's slightly better than Stunfisk because you have better matchups into Diggersby for sure. I mean, Dunsparce definitely did get slightly nerfed too. So rollouts, they're just better normal types, honestly, at this moment in time. There's just better normal types. I honestly put it here. Maybe even worse. I don't even know. Like, it's just I don't remember the last time I lost to a Dunsparce. I've seen it in GBL, and just like every time I see it, I feel like they're just like a little bit out of the loop. All right, there's 2 Fortress on there for some reason. I'm not sure why. Guzzlord, also something I kind of like isn't not as relevant. I mean, it's taking super effect from bug types too, right? So don't love that. It beats Galarian Corsola. It is a reliable Drapion answer. I will give it that, but I don't think it's as good anymore. Yeah, unfortunate. I love Dunsparce still higher than Umbreon. Yeah. Honestly, the typing just into what you actually see in today's meta, like this is still better. Like I was thinking Lapras, like you resist Sidewave, but like you have super effective rollout and Rock Slide for that even. So other dark types too. Mana Buzz, number 12 overall. I mean, it's resisting. It's taking neutral from bug damage because it cancels each other out. Galarian Corsa being meta relevant is nice, but Diggersby beats it with quick attack. So it's kind of weird. I don't think it's actually going to be amazing, Drapion's kind of weird into it. Like, it's kind of quick into it, too. I'd put it, like, here, maybe. It has a little bit better play, but, like, it's just not great. Morpeko, another dark type. Always something that's kind of hard to use at times. With more bug types around, it's definitely going to be a little bit harder. I'll put it here, though. It has really good matchups, especially in GBL. When it's, like, on a roll, it's on a roll. It is on a roll when it's, like, really good. But, I think these also all equally have a lot of play in GPL. Maybe I'll put it here. Yeah, Morpeko's only one of those Pokemon that, like, in the right situation, it is not fun to be against. I think that does it for all of our dark types. Let's take a look at Golurk. I think it's, like, been, like, buffed, but, like, not been as solid. It's kind of, like, wades back and forth a bit. I'll probably put it... I don't even know. Here? It's hard to say. This Scizor might be a lot better than I anticipated it to be, so just be on the lookout for that one. But it is still quite frail. Another Mud Slapper, Gastrodon, I think is one of the more reliable answers to Drapion as well. But let's see how it matches up. Okay into these things, kind of. It's just, like, doesn't hit very hard. I mean, obviously loses. It's good into a lot. It's pretty safe into a lot of the meta, actually. I will give it that. And it has the Body Slam for the bugs, so it's not, like, completely lost there. But it's not great. It's a harder to use Mud Slapper, but I think it's probably going to be better than Unova Stunfisk if Gligar picks up in usage. Toxicroak, which always is kind of a bulk machine in these neutral matchups. You just lose to too many of these top meta picks. It's still solid. It's a really good pick, but I think it's a little bit on the slower end. Whereas Tentacruel at least could be on the slightly faster pacing end. I'll put it here. I think there's a chance that Tentacruel might be over... well, let me see. Tentacruel actually is ranked even lower. Tentacruel actually, I think, is actually worse here. Let me actually move Tentacruel a bit further down. Yeah, let me move this. I'm not as impressed. You lose the poison jab damage too, right? Or the pressure. So, I don't know. I don't love Tentacruel at all, actually, the more I look at it. Let's put it here. Looks like Swallow got a little bit worse, even though it's good into bugs. Yeah, Swallow is all the way at 103. I didn't even include it here because I just think, like, its time is kind of come and gone at this point. Something that I have been underestimating, though, is Furret. That thing is actually pretty disgusting in certain situations. Beats Stickersby if you have shields and you counter swap it, right? If head-to-head, obviously, you just win it. But if you're behind an energy, you can still beat it. Beats Corsola. Doesn't win against this. I think it's okay. I'll put it here. I think it's okay. It's definitely got an argument for maybe even being in a meta pick. But because this is not running Shadow Claw anymore, it's a little bit harder to run it. Yeah, I don't think it's as good as it used to be. Yo, you know what's a really fun Pokemon to really show how much power creep there is? Registeel. They barely touched it. I think they, like, slightly nerfed Zap Cannon like a year ago. But, like, barely touched it. And that thing's all the way at 84. It's still always going to be, like, a decent pick, but it's just way too hard to use in this meta. It's so hard to use. I think it's worse than Bastion even. Bastion can at least RPS some people. Steelix, 18th overall with Thunderfangs. I think it's okay. I don't think it's, like, hyper meta, though, because it's kind of hard to use at times. But I think it could be okay. I mean, it's ranked really high, right? But I don't actually think it's that good. I'll put it here. I actually think Bastion has a little bit more utility than Steelix. But Steelix just, like, I don't know. It can't really force switch a lot against a lot of things these days. I know some people are curious about Dragalge. Let's take a look at that one. 58 with Acid. This is with solid Acid estimates, but it could always change for sure. I don't love its coverage as much, you know? It's okay, but if you have, like, there's a lot more ground types and stuff, and I don't know. It's got to be on the more fringe side. Alolan Sandslash is at 78 with Shadow Claw. It's got some utility here for sure. I mean, just if this is popular, it's just problem is the Lapras is so strong right now, so it's a little bit hard to use. I'll put it here though. It's got great coverage though into Gligar, and I don't know. It's not bad. It's just not good. I think this Quagsire might be a little bit better though. Actually, I'll put it here for now. I think Quagsire has a little bit more utility. Maybe even Gastrodon. This is just too hard to run right now with Gligar, I think. If Gligar actually picks up in usage. Spirit Tomb, Sucker Punch, Rock Tomb, Shadow Ball. Yeah, I mean, this one is kind of falling apart a bit. Especially after some of these, like, I don't know. It looked okay at times, but then it just, like, never really came to fruition. I'll put it, I don't know, here. Galarian Weezing at 32 overall with Shadow. It's okay. I mean, Brutal Swing against Galarian Corsola is something, right? Just not great in Digger Speed and stuff. It's solid. I wouldn't put it in meta, though. I think it just depends on how you're building your team. But also, like, Ting Tung just seems like it's slightly better. Togetic, Fairy Wind, Psyshock, Dazzling Gleam at 48. I don't know. I think it's kind of a bit too one-dimensional. Plus, if Metang's actually really strong, then this thing's going to be completely walled off by Metang. I think it'll go maybe like here. Yeah, Togetic's kind of a weird one. I actually don't even like it that much. I'll put it here. Togetic is very underwhelming. Yeah, obviously if you get into the right matchup, it's fine. But like, it's just, I don't know. I don't. It feels like the Corviknight of Fairy Flying, but worse. Okay, let's take a look at some of these fighters. Primeape has dropped a lot in usage or utility just because of bug types being buffed. I think it's still solid. If you need a fighter, I think it's still very, very strong into a lot of things, right? I wouldn't be surprised if Primeape actually picks up a bit in usage. I'll put it here, I guess. It's not bad into a lot of these top meta picks. You know, obviously the bug type's going to beat it, but it also resists bug, so that's just that. Alolan Marowak is at 54. The problem is, again, a lot of these bug types outside of the Fortress are like still taking only neutral from fire. I don't love this pick. It's yeah, I don't really like it that much. Put it here. I think that's where I put it last time too. Metacham is kind of really falling off a bit. This thing is just not as good as it used to be. Every time I see it in GBL, I usually just beat it. It's just not as good as it used to be, unfortunately. We'll put it, I don't even know. I feel bad, but like this thing's just like, we'll put it in like the graveyard of like things that used to be good but just aren't good anymore. Can't believe Dunsparce dropped that much too in just a few months. Shadow Annihilape is 34 overall. This thing is actually still proper nutty, so I think it's actually kind of solid still, but I don't think it's as good as the Primeape. Put it here, I think. And then the very last Pokemon we're gonna put down is Clodsire, ranked number 1 on PvPoke. With Sludge Bomb, Earthquake, Poison Sting. If you want to run it with Stone Edge, it's ranked 14th overall with Stone Edge, Earthquake, Poison Sting. That's kind of crazy that both movesets are still ranked really, really high. Now let's really take a look at this and see what we got here, because we got yeah, obviously you could beat this if you land an Earthquake, right? This matchup's not great against the Fortress, but yeah, let's take a look exactly how bad it is. So let's assume you have like a rank 1 Clodsire running Sludge Bomb. Let's not put the Earthquake moveset on it, because more likely than not you're running Sludge Bomb. And then Fortress, we'll run a rank 1 Fortress. Why not? I mean, Fortress has been out for a while, right? You win the 0s and the 1s. That's kind of crazy. Going straight Earthquake. You're not baiting. The fact that you're beating a Fortress, right, that has super effective damage and you're throwing your only neutral damage. Clodsire is Eternal. Yeah. And it beats Corsola. It loses a Digger Speed, of course. You have some play into Lapras and... Oh, you beat a Azumarill, but not great into Lapras. You beat this. You beat this. You have play into this. Alright, Golisopod. Let's take a look at this one. So I think if Gligar picks up a lot in usage, then yes, it's a little bit hard to run it. Yeah, you lose all evens to Golisopod, so that is a little bit unfortunate, but you know, that does happen. Dusclops, good example of this because it resists the poison damage against a rank 1 Dusclops. What do we got here? Yeah, you lose all those. Okay, so it's not like busted, but it's solid. You lose a Corviknight, hard wall by it if you don't have Stone Edge. And then let's take a look at Metang. If Metang really picks up in usage, let's see how strong it really is. Psyshock, Gyro Ball, Shadow. You lose all even shields, but it's actually a lot closer. Because the Earthquake almost takes it out. And yeah, I mean, you're going straight Earthquake, no baiting. You almost take it out in 1s and 2s. That's actually not that bad. You would think METANG is the counter for it, but it's not that reliable. Beats Credilli. Obviously, against Gligar, you have literally 0 play, especially without Stone Edge. You might have to run Stone Edge, but again, Stone Edge is ranked pretty high. You get completely walled out, but that's not a fun matchup. Yeah. So I think it just really depends on if Gligar really picks up a lot in usage. This Gligar iteration does not seem as strong as the last one. So I think because of that, Clodsire is still pretty solid. And also, let's not forget, Inadequate's got 2nd place in the world last season in a Gligar meta with a Clodsire on the team. It's just one of those situations where, like, yeah, it's a hard wall matchup, but if you avoid it, or for the most part you don't get it on it, you're fine, right? It's kind of like Galarian Corsa into Diggersby. Yeah, Clodsire is pretty disgusting still. We'll put it here. Yeah, I think Clodsire is going to be still disgusting. So definitely something to watch out for in this meta. But I believe that's it. Yeah, that's going to be the tier list. I like how it looks overall. Obviously, I am prone to being wrong by making these predictions, especially before we have all the energy values. But this looks pretty good to me so far. We'll see. Get back to trading Galarian Corsola, because these things, I think it's going to be pretty strong in this meta. Dusclops is like a solid alternative if you don't have it. But yeah, that's going to do it for that. Anyway, stay tuned for my Ultra League take on the meta. So we will definitely cover that in the upcoming days, as well as Master League. Thank you all for joining in. Yeah, appreciate you stopping by, Nick, and everyone else. And hopefully this will be helpful for the new season, but only time will tell. All I know is I'm going to get back to hatching Galarian Corsola, and I'm going to keep trying to get a freaking Galarian Moltres from these adventure insets. I have not seen a single one yet. So I just saw one, but it was over 1500. That's not helpful anyway. So thanks all for tuning in, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out.